Welcome back. Now let's get the show on the road. On Wednesday, the federal government suspended the planned rural grazing area, also known as Ruga settlement. The Ruga project, which was meant to be created across the 36 states of the Federation. Contrary to how it was initially claimed in some quarters, the Ruga plan is not part of the National Livestock Transformation Plan. That's what we are told. The Livestock Transformation Plan is a 179 billion naira 10-year initiative that is starting from 2018 to 2027. Okay. Yeah? And it champions ranching as the way forward for cattle rearing in the country. This has caused a lot of controversy and a lot of debate. So we are going to add our own little 2 bits to it this morning. And to help us, we have 2 legal practitioners. On my left, Mr. Oscar Umudiwe. Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
And on my right, Mr. Tony Dania.
Good morning.
And we have joining us from Abuja, Alhaji Yusuf Ado, who is the National Chairman of the Miyetti Allah Walidira Fulani Initiative for Peace and Orientation. Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Thank you for joining us this morning. Now, let me begin with you, Oscar. Some people are wondering why this thing is such a big thing. People have reared cattle in Nigeria forever. People have farmed in Nigeria forever. So what is the big deal?
Thank you. First of all, it's funny. It's a big deal because it's a new era. It's a new era because suddenly the cattle rearers found a voice. They found authority. They found comfort. Developed it to impunity. They actually got elevated from just being a group of businessmen, and they were even recognized as a socio-cultural organization. So now they issue press conferences that they never used to, not because new things were happening, and they started doing things they were not doing before. And then we now started hearing that some other foreigners, not Nigerians, who are also cattle rearers, were coming in, this time armed. And they don't take prisoners. If you are on their way, you either die or anything can happen to you because suddenly they own the land called Nigeria. This is why we now hear about it. They've always existed.
Yep.
But now we started hearing about them because they're in power.
Yeah, Mr. Dania, if the bulk of these people are foreigners, why are we just sitting down and talking about it and allowing foreigners to just overrun our country?
Well, the protests against involvement in enhancing first ranches, then later colony, and now Ruga, which they have suspended, is because of the criminal violence on the part of certain persons known to be experts, whether foreigner or Nigerian nationals. So that is what has informed this field. Otherwise, pasteurizing, agricultural business in rearing cattle has been on from time immemorial. It might interest you to know that the first ranch we had in Nigeria was in 1914, and it was established by an European as a private business. It might also interest you to know that the kind of cattle we have in Badagry Aziz of the states are mixed breed from Brazil. There is a very small African country, I've forgotten the name. They are less than 3 million, but they have over 8 million cattle. Namibia. So now the federal government can encourage cattle rearing. I can do it. I can rear cattle in my backyard. If I have like 5 or 6, I think what the government should do is to remove its hand from cattle rearing business and encourage every Nigerian to do cattle rearing. If you have money, you want to rear cattle, rear. You want to sell, sell. Are you aware that in the south, in the west alone, they consume not less than 10,000 cattle every day? About 10,000 cattle. That means if you start as a business, why can't we rear cattle here? Why must government be involved? You see, and government is not addressing the criminal violence on the part of certain persons suspected very strongly to be S-men. I'm not saying we've been missing with Fulani S-men when I was small. They take cattle around with the play. My junior brother was almost mistaken to be a Fulani man because he looked so fine, looked like a Fulani. I remember vividly there was a time they came to our house and said, this person must be our child. You know, we laughed over it and all that. So it was like my colleague said, when we started having uncontrollable violence, visiting violence with impunity on community they come to with their cattle for feeds. If that is not stopped, we are going close to anarchy.
Okay.
Haji
Haji Ardo, what's the situation that has been that we're talking about here? What's your take?
Well, good morning, gentlemen. In reality, the whole issue concerning the cattle rearing in Nigeria has been misunderstood. You see, the cattle rearing is a business, as the last speaker have just said, but the issue of this Ruga settlement, particularly, and cattle colonies, or whatever they want to call it, is a government project. And the Fulani in Nigeria has been completely, misunderstood by majority of Nigerians. We have the peaceful and law-abiding Fulani people in Nigeria. And the politics that just came into the system all of a sudden and beginning to cause crisis and compounded the issues are the major cause of concern. Well, as the government has just come up with this program of Ruga settlement in particular, our people, our organization were not even consulted. All our people, none of our organization was consulted. But when they come up with it, we were very happy. We said, okay, if that will bring the end, that will bring to the end of the crisis, the issues completely, so that at least the stigma, the harassment, and the embarrassment concerning our people will put to rest. It will be a welcome development. But unfortunately, it happens the way it happens. Our text on this is we are advising all stakeholders to look at the matter holistically, particularly when it comes to issue of, generalizing the criminality in the aspect of the headers. I think that is not being fair to our people.
Alhaji Ado, I'm sure that Miyetti Allah has done its own research regarding this news that some foreigners are coming into Nigeria, and most of the time they are the ones perpetrating the crimes. They are the ones killing farmers and forcibly possessing their lands. What did Miyetti Allah find out?
Well, the reality about the perpetrators of the violence lies in the hands of the security agencies. The Miyetti Allah is very, very handicapped. We are not security agencies, although from the little we can gather, 99% of the violence perpetrated in Nigeria is political. There are so many in it. There is so many, input from different tribes, different communities, and from different interest groups. So I think the best to answer this question should be the security agencies, because they have the technical know-how, the expatriate, and the responsibility constitutionally. That's my take.
We'll just take a moment. When we come back, we'll get back to Alhaji Ado and the panel here in Lagos. Join us again. Welcome back. We're still discussing the Ruga settlement and its controversies. We have Alhaji Yusuf Ado, National Chairman, Miyetti Allah, Walidira Fulani Initiative for Peace and Orientation from our Abuja studio, Tony Dani and Oscar Mudu are here in Lagos. Mr. Ado, Alera asked a question about what your organization is doing. You are the Initiative for Peace and Orientation. She talked about the fact that you're being painted in bad light. And what are you doing to curb that kind of misrepresentation of you?
Yeah, actually, our major role in the system is to bring our people together, to orient them to understand the need for peace and embrace peace, and also to cooperate with government, with any government policy that is meant to uplift their life standard and also to, bring to the end to this menace of clashes between farmers and herders. Our organization is particularly interested in bringing lasting peace, encouraging our people to understand and agree for modernization and development of the society, to live in peace and harmony with every host community they found themselves in. Those are part of the things we are doing, and we are also encouraging those who has been displaced, to try to look other ways of business, because cattle rearing is not the only option in life. Many of our people have been displaced, their homes, completely destroyed, their livelihood, their belongings, destroyed. The crisis is more affecting our people than people imagine. But that notwithstanding, as you asked, our major participation is to encourage peace and enlighten our people for the need for them to, cooperate with government and any other organization that is willing to work with us and them to bring lasting peace in the country.
Yeah, when you spoke earlier, you talked about how your family related with herdsmen before now, to the point that your brother was considered a Fulani man and all of that. But what Mr. Ado has talked about, the fact that it's affecting them badly. It's affecting them more than people can imagine. The conflicts, the controversies, the disagreements amongst the people that used to be in peace.
Yes, you see, the Miyetti should do much more than what, with respect, the chairperson have said. If you are an association representing a group, and the group is being accused of criminal violence with impunity, the people are accusing not only a tacit support from this organization, they are also accusing the government. Now, if you say you are not a security organization, we all know, and you say you are experiencing peace in the country, and then you have said that your people are also being, that is the Fulanis are also being dealt with. Now, you have not done anything. The question is, what have you done? And you said you are not a security organization. You don't need to be a security organization. For instance, in my own place, we know that we have a vigilante group. If we have suspicion, if any area is suspected to be, at risk of crime, we report to security agencies. Security agencies will come. What have you done? Have you interacted to share intelligence with security agencies? Have you come out openly to condemn the violent and remove the innocent Fulani businessmen, S-men from being part of the criminal violence? We have not seen that. And the government are not also helping matters. Cattle rearing is a private business. The moment the government recognizes that it's a private business, and if you want to encourage it, you can say, just like they give incentive to farmers, you can say, okay, if you want to rear cattle and you want to build your own ranch, we'll help you with this. Ranch is not a government thing. In the advanced country, ranches are owned by private businessmen. It's a kind of farming. You know, so in the course of encouraging agricultural development, you can twist the policy to encourage those who want to do cattle farming. If I'm a lawyer, but if I have incentive, I will rear cattle because it will pay me. It will give me more, it will give me some, you know, extra income. So my advice is that the Miyetti group should do much more than they are presently doing. The government should do much more than they are presently doing. Otherwise, you will leave community with no other option than to resort to self-defense, and that will bring anarchy.
And that's not what we want.
That's not what we want.
Mr. Mudie,
Yeah.
there is, because a lot of people talk about what the Constitution allows, how it is that there were grazing routes, I mean, going by the Constitution, that were established by law, and then some people have occupied or disrupted those routes. Yeah. So this cattle that used to annually, I mean, during the time of dry season when it's dry on the other side, they move through to feed and then return. They can't do that anymore. What is the way forward?
Nyota, first of all, let me say, I'm surprised that you're asking that question about grazing routes that were there in the years before your father was born.
Because that's the conversation
No, and then you started talking about the law. We're not discussing with people who care about the law. We're discussing, I want to take on Alhaji Ado. Alhaji Ado has done a wonderful thing this morning. He started by saying that a lot of us, and that includes me, we misunderstand them. I plead guilty. I misunderstand them completely because he also added, we are peaceful people. Then I get confused. Benue State started recording a lot of deaths. Farmers who go to their farms. We saw videos of their own cash crops being caught and useless and given to cows to eat. We saw people being killed. We saw people being buried, and they sat down. The governor was practically coerced into signing a law that they no longer want this so that their people could have safety. What was the reaction of the peaceful Miyetti Allah group? They warned the governor.
Remember, there are two factions.
No, I don't want to hear about factions. They warned.
No, there are two.
Okay, now, whatever happens, the governor was warned. And when the governor was warned, this same governor decided to call on the Inspector General of Police. Arrest these people. Nothing happened. And all of that will do what? Are ingredients of peace. The second faction, like you're just telling me now, that we have another faction that is more peaceful. How did they think of their business and say, look, if these people will create problems for our business, we need to liaise with them and tell them what you're doing will jeopardize our businesses. Did we hear of it? The answer is no. We're still discussing peace. This is where I'm confused. Then it happened in Taraba. What was the action? How did they react to it? Again, these peaceful people have not heard one thing that suggests peace from very peaceful people who truly need the peace to do their business. Now, we also know, and we've seen videos of people carrying AK-47. I have seen one live in a farm in Anambra State. A little boy with his AK-47 behind him, in the bush, in another person's farm. And that little boy is peaceful. And that's the reason you carry a gun. I don't have a gun, meaning I must be troublesome. Now, we can't understand. In other words, they have a job to do. The job is, please explain to us. We are beginning to see these people as untouchables. They can do and undo. Ruga came on. And the minute Ruga came on and people started protesting, some other very peaceful people called Northern Coalition came out and started insulting the whole country in the name of peace. We did not hear Miyetti Allah come out to say, no, what you're doing is going to affect our business. We want peace for our business to continue to run. Where you must show, the lawyer will tell you that it must be seen to be done. You don't have the peace in your heart. You say it on television, and when it's time to practice it, you keep quiet. Guns are all over the place. Women are being raped in the farms. People are dying. Next year, we're going to have serious food crisis in this country because people have not been farming. People ran away from their farms. The consequences will hit us next year. And what are we still discussing? How do we settle these people, gun-wielding people? How do we make sure that they are peaceful people and their businesses are running?
Let me bring this up here. You raised something that Mr. Ado raised.
Yes.
That they are being misunderstood.
Yeah.
So that
and
word...
I'm saying why we're being
misunderstood. That word misunderstanding...
Yes.
...appears to affect all sides.
Correct.
So maybe we should dwell on that and see maybe that would sort all of this out. So tell us, how do we resolve the issue of misunderstanding? Because while he says they are being misunderstood, probably they are also misunderstood. So let me take it back to Mr. Ado. We'll come back to you.
Okay.
Mr. Ado, how do we resolve, how would the people begin to understand the cattle breeders, as you say that you people are being misunderstood? So how do you want the people to begin to understand you? Mr. Onwudue has talked about expression of the things that are bothering your business. Yeah. This person is going contrary to what you stand for. You let it be known and stand by it. So how do we move forward from here?
The way we move forward is from the time Nigerians begin to believe that there are peaceful Fulani in the country. The majority of Fulani in Nigeria are peaceful. The bandits or the headers, the fighters are more political than imagined. The same way they terrorize other communities, they also terrorize the same Fulani people. You see, we have to be very fair to each other when we are contributing to the development of the country. But whenever you are finding a solution to an issue, you really need to be very holistic and be very, fair to both parties. In Nigeria today, if you want to be fair to yourself, or we want to be fair to ourselves, I believe an ordinary man, either Fulani or any other villager, before he or she can access a gun, I believe there must be someone who is enlightened, who is informed, that can able to lead him to where he can access a gun. By so doing, those holding the guns in the bush, as far as I'm concerned, they are being, brainwashed, used. As earlier, some of you, they are particularly the last speaker, the second to the last speaker said, foreigners and other interested groups, as in my first submission, contribute to this crisis. So what we as an organization is advocating for is a legislation. This Nigeria is our country, and we are all Nigerians. The solution to all problems is a legislation. There is no business, no any particular activity in a country without regulatory agency. So the government needs to act fast, and the government needs to do a lot to put things in order. The crisis concerning herders and farmers in Nigeria, whether we like it or not, to some extent, bounce back to the failure of successive governments to do their role to create the enabling environment and also to put some regulatory agencies in line so that they will be, take charge of all the activities of the farmers and herders. The crisis, if you look at them as they are, is just dragging on natural resources. There have never been a Fulani man fighting anybody on the issue of land or trying to take a community over from the original owners, but rather a crisis particularly on the interest of the natural resources, the shrubs, the water, not until the recent crisis that we don't know where from, that has completely, is what particularly we within our organization and our community, we can say as a jack crisis, the banditry, the kidnapping, that we don't know
Mr.
where
Ado,
from.
I really need to ask
Those
you a
are
question,
the political
Mr. Ado.
angles of it.
You are of the Miyetti Allah Peace Initiative. The question I want to ask is, does Miyetti Allah really represent all the herdsmen, Fulani herdsmen as the case may be?
To some extent.
Please explain the extent.
It represents the Fulani herdsmen to some extent. There is never a single organization that represents everybody's interest or represent everybody. There must be people that are with you and others will not be with you. So in that instance, in the Fulani situation, Miyetti Allah represents majority of the peaceful, genuine Fulani people.
Okay. Can you identify these people that are causing problems so that the rest of the nation can appreciate that you are indeed who you say you are? Can you identify these ones and hand them over to the authorities to help make things easier?
I can only identify the peaceful one, but if the government want to identify the one causing problem, we have the Nigerian police, the DSS, the soldiers. They are the ones supposed to identify the one causing problems. That is why I earlier said we are calling for a legislation to control the entire activities of the Fulani people concerning their farming, their cattle rearing, their educational system, their health system, and whatever, what have you, in order to have a control. We are not interested in taking anybody's land. Anybody that think either ranching, cattle colony is a suggestion of the Fulani people to take land from the original owner, I think is not being fair to the Fulani people. Our interest is just to have a peaceful Nigeria.
Alhaji Ado, I need to interrupt you. Are you helping law enforcement to identify these people? Because you are the ones being given the bad name. Are you helping law enforcement?
Excellently, we are, yes, exactly, we are. Our organizations have been participating in many programs, committees of peace in nationwide and state levels. If you check, if you go to research, you go to the security agency, you will see our input. We have been cooperating, we have been leading so many, committees and participating in committees to contribute in peace building. Go and find out. There are so many things we have done. Well, I don't need to say everything here, but as far as I'm concerned, our organization is a peaceful one, and Fulani, 99% of Nigerian Fulani are very peaceful.
All right, thank you. Let's, Mr. Dani and Mr. Onwudu, we are almost out of time.
If I may quickly say this, what...
your final word.
Yes, what Alhaji Ado is saying, that we are peaceful, we are aware that there are some violent wars. And then he doesn't want to disclose how he's helping security agency on the part of intelligence. I appreciate that part. But what we are saying is that we are all aware of the criminal violence on the part of certain persons, whether they are foreigner or national. Like my colleague have said, plethora of cases, incidents are abound. Now, does the Miyetti Allah group has a list of the peaceful breeders? I mean, in every state, we have breeders. Do you have the list of the peaceful breeders? That is one. Then two, communities will be left with no other option. These Western regional governors are meeting to come up with a solution against this violence. Like my colleague said, by next year it might be worse, but no reasonable governor will wait and allow this to go on. Okay. The governors are meeting. And the final one, for the very first time, politics was not considered in totally protesting against Ruga. Okay. All the governors protested against Ruga.
Your final word, Oscar.
Yeah, my final word is that I'm very grateful that we have Alhaji Ado to explain a number of things to us. I'm beginning to understand now.
Okay.
And what I understand is the fact that it is not their fault, it's the fault of the federal government.
Okay.
So it is federal government who has
much.
decided that we shall not be safe.
Thank you very much, Oscar Mundiwe, legal practitioner, as well as Tony Dania, also legal practitioner, who were in our studio in Lagos, and the national chairman, Miyetti Allah Walidira Fulani Initiative for Peace and Orientation, Alhaji Yusuf Ado, who joined us from our studio in Abuja. Thank you all very much for coming to talk to us this morning. Sunrise will be back in just a moment. Do stay with us.